Okay, let's go into part two of the nervous system and why having a regulated nervous system increases or allows your awareness, intuition to be received more. Before I get to that sort of section, I want to take a step back and sort of explain the mechanics as to how we get to the place of having a dysregulated nervous system and then the effects that that has on us receiving our awareness, but also then how we find blocks within our life. So there's certain areas that you will find you struggle within, that you have repetitive patterns and conditioning that seem to be your core struggles for this life. So mine mainly was relationship, massively. I was so entangled in relationships that like my self-worth came from someone else, and like it was just deeply entangled. And what I've learned is as you move throughout this life, and if you want to believe it or not, past lives, and you don't have to. So if you just focus on this life, if that's how you envision yourself, just this one life, that's fine. Every time something occurred, let's take money for an example. Say you grew up in a family where money was spoken about in a very scarcity way, or you had experiences with your parents where they were stressed out about money, and as a child, they would speak about money in front of you. And as a kid, your nervous system is still developing. And so, in those moments when you've felt their stress and the topic that it's around, your body instantly goes to protect you. It goes into survival mode. It dysregulates its system to keep you safe. That's when we need that um, survival mode to click in when you're faced with a life and death situation. But our body doesn't know the difference between life and death situation. So in that moment, you feel an immense emotion because you can feel the stress, you can feel everything that's going on in that room with your parents and that topic around money. And so not you, but the body holds it and is like, I'm going to keep you safe in this moment. We're going to get through this. And it just clicks over into survival mode so that you can get through that conversation essentially. Now, if you have the space when you're younger for that to be integrated and for you to move through that survival mode, you can then re regulate your system and the experience is not held within. And you can move on and you aren't conditioned by that conversation or conditioned now by money. But if, and for most of us, we weren't given the space to regulate our nervous systems, or our parents weren't aware to sort of realize the conversation that they just had in front of you and to help you move through that emotion. We generally sat with those emotions or they just suppressed within us. Now, every time then money was spoken about negatively from your parents or others, you would hear about it. And each time the body would remember that first experience and go straight into survival mode, and each time get faster and faster and faster in order to protect you from those big emotions or the big fear or just the what felt like life or death for the body, right? So over time, every time money has been spoken about, then you've created these patterns and these conditionings that it's something fearful, it's something scarce, it's something that threatens me. And this is where we create these like energy blocks within our body. And so this can go from, like, I'm speaking of money, but this can be relationships and self love. This can be career, anything. But this is an example of how we get it. Now, as you get older, you start, you may not realize, but patterns will just play out because where these blocks are, your body is constantly showing you, constantly communicating with you where it sits in survival mode. So every time money came up, you will feel that restriction, you will feel that scarcity within your body, because the body in that moment is trying to protect you from this conversation, and it's conditioned itself to behave in a certain way over time. So this is where we get very confused as to why money's not flowing, or we get very confused as to why we keep attracting the same shitty partner. We get very confused because we're like, I'm open, I'm ready to receive, I'm here, whatever, but the body hasn't processed it. So this is where a regulated nervous system steps into the conversation, because it, in that conversation, in that topic around money, relationship, it's not regulated. It has held onto a conditioning. And when it's held on, when there's emotions, when there's suppression of your energy within your body, you can't allow awareness to flow through your body. And if you want to go into the energetics of this, there's the different chakras and different energy centers within your body, and they hold different areas of, like, the root chakra and things are around survival. Then you've got like your heart space, your heart chakra, that's around love, and there's all the different things. But when there's a condition or a pattern that's lodged into your body, because it's just a mechanism, a coping mechanism that your body has done over years, until that is noticed, it's going to keep repeating. So what a regulated nervous system does is allows you to sit, allows you to create space, right, within your body. You can do it as I say it, but it creates space. You give it this moment to pause. You give it a moment to breathe, to feel that it's here, it's anchored, it's grounded, it's just feeling its feet. There's no immediate dangers around it. It's just here. Just listening to this, listening to me, hearing the words. And if you wanted, you could introduce the topic of money or relationships, whatever it is that you're wanting to, you feel blocked within. And you can sense it, where it sits in your body. You can sense where the dysregulation is. And so you'll find, if you read different healing books, or you might have just seen it in reels, that there's certain areas of your body that hold certain things. Now, what I've come to learn is giving the body space to breathe, to pause, allowing it to know that it's safe, is the key to then becoming aware of your patterns, of your conditioning. So it's learning to regulate your body so that your natural state is regulated. You're not moving through this world in a survival mode. So then when you come across topics or situations within money, relationships, careers, etc., you will feel the dysregulation almost immediately. And instead of moving into survival mode and repeating that pattern, you can sense the difference in your body. You go from spaciousness to a tense or restriction or a deep emotion or a lackingness or a heartbreak, all these different feelings. But you can sense that feeling and sit with it. This is where your awareness comes in. So the awareness is the thing that breaks the pattern. But if you're constantly moving in life in a dysregulated nervous system, there is no way to tell the difference. That's what I was saying in part one of, like, the cloudiness. But I think it's really interesting to understand how we've accumulated that cloudiness, or how we've accumulated that pattern around these topics, and knowing that the first step is just simply to be with your body because she is holding so much. She's protecting you in all these beautiful ways. Because in that moment, back when you're a child and you experienced that trauma, that experience, that whatever it was too big to be held. That's okay. But now you're not in immediate danger. And some of these topics around like love or money or relationships, they're not life threatening. So you don't have to relive the trauma. You don't have to. And yes, some of the experiences that did create patterns in those moments did feel life threatening. And thank you, body, for switching on survival mode to get me through, to get me here. Thank you. But now you're safe. You're out of that situation. You don't need to relive the situation. And now it asks for you to let the body know it's safe for awareness to come through. And to let the body know it's safe is just to like pause. And you'll get better and better at this the more that you do it. The second part of this that I wanted to touch on was a coping mechanism that sort of appeared to me on the weekend, which flows directly onto the nervous system regulation. But I noticed I was overstimulated. I'm pregnant, so everything is amplified at the moment. And I was just so annoyed. Like everything Maddie was doing was pissing me right off. And I was also tired. So when we got home from wherever we were in the morning, got home, I laid down to sleep. I could not sleep. My heart was pounding. I could feel my body was literally in this overstimulated, irritated state, and I could not sleep. I was trying to jump from 1 to 1,000. And so I'd put a show on or a movie on my phone and just like vegged out. But what I found is after that, that was almost calming me down. And then I turned that watching a show into scrolling for like a couple of hours, let's be honest. And even Maddie was like, what are you doing here? This is so, so not you. Um, but what I found was because I was in such a stimulated, irritated state, resting or pausing in that sense was too far of a jump. And so what gave me relief, which is almost contradicting and like a paradox, but was a subtler is not a word, but a softer stimulation through scrolling. Because there was no threat or nothing coming at me, but there was information, but it seemed to calm down my activation. So this is how we can get stuck in the scrolling. Because it's almost a coping mechanism from our activated state and it's a relief. So we're sort of moving into the freeze mode in the sense of the body is relaxed, even though it's receiving input and receiving information, which is stimulation, it was less. And it was almost like you controlled what you were receiving as well through the scroll. So that was an interesting one to see. And what I found that after my hours of scrolling, I did feel calmer. And then I could move into the state of taking a few breaths and then really anchoring back into the body. So I think it's important when you're in an overstimulated or irritated, dysregulated nervous system state. Sometimes there are coping mechanisms that may not feel as appropriate or as aligned, but if it's giving you a relief and you're aware that I'm scrolling right now, but this is feeling better than what I was before, that is okay. It's a stepping stone to then coming back to yourself. If it's increasing your activation or increasing your stimulation, I would recommend stepping away from that. But I think it's important that we're also human and our body has learned over the years of different ways to regulate itself. And sometimes as you're moving through or getting clearer with your awareness, that those stepping stones are needed. So yeah, that's part 2 of regulated nervous system. I hope that helped you in whatever way, whatever you needed to get from that video has helped you. I'm here if you ever want to jump into a private container, as in one-on-ones. We can do a 4-week or an 8-week, and we just learn to regulate our bodies and allow the patterns to surface naturally and move through them